Okay, so right now we have the feather tip base, this little square piece of geometry here. We have it constrained all sorts of ways. I think what we want to do instead, well, actually I know what we want to do instead, and we want to delete this point constraint on this object. So if I go to my hypergraph, frame that object, we're going to delete this point constraint. Okay, and now we're going to use a parent constraint instead, so that it will function in the translate and rotate space of those parent objects. In this case, we're using the wrist tip and the wrist helper tip. Okay, we'll come back over here, and we want to parent constrain the feather left tip base. So hold down space, constrain, parent, option box, and we want to, we'll maintain offset. We will, well, let's just reset it. Okay, so we're going to leave everything as default, except we're going to uncheck the rotate, and then we'll click apply. Okay, now this one will work. So let's go ahead and check real quick just to make sure, and then we'll do it to our other two. So here's my fold extend attribute on the wing, and see that feather now stays attached just like it's supposed to. Okay, so now I'll just really quickly do that to the other two feathers. So we need the wrist tip, wrist helper tip, and actually we need to delete these point constraints first. So delete that, then we'll go through and select the wrist tip, the wrist helper tip, then we'll select the next base. And since we've already got our settings correct on our parent constraint dialog box, we'll just click parent. Okay. Then we'll make sure those are still selected. Deselect that one, and then select the next one. We'll click apply on our parent constraint. Now all three of those should follow just fine. Okay, and in fact they do. Okay, so the only thing we really have left to do to get these to work is we need to apply a wire tool to these feathers. So wherever the feather curve, however it deforms, the feather's going to deform. So what we need to do is we'll go to create deformer wire tool. We'll bring up the option box. You need two curves and a piece of geometry for this to work. Okay, so we've got our start curve, and we've got our resultant curve for the hair simulation, and then we've got our feather piece of geometry. Okay, now when I have the wire tool activated, if we look down here in the help line, it will tell us what we need to select first. Select shapes to deform and press enter. Okay, so I'll deselect everything, and then select on the feather, and then press enter. Okay? Now it says select wire curves and press enter to finalize the operation. So now we need to select both of those curves. Okay, and it's just going to measure it. It's going to, well, let me just do that. So we go in the hypergraph and make sure I grab the correct feathers. Oh. Need to make sure I'm showing hidden nodes. Okay, and here's the curves I need. Now, it would have been ideal for me to go back and rename all these, so I'll just have to click through them. But there's not going to be, see, there's that one. That's one of the ones we need, curve 3. Okay. And then we need to go to our in hair menu, and we need to display, let's see, our current and start. Okay. So, and there's the other one that we need. This is our rest curve. We won't necessarily need that. And we could delete it if we wanted to. So I'm not sure which order, or if it's even important which order these are selected in, but I always like to do driver driven. And so with both those selections made, I'm still in my wire tool. I press enter. Okay, so now if I run the simulation, the feather is deforming with it. Okay, it even kind of looks kind of nice for what's going on. Except you notice that quill isn't really deforming very well. It's not following the curve like the feather is. This part. So what we need to do to fix that is select our feather, go to the channel box. We got this wire, and we have this drop-off distance. Okay, and we've got 2 of them. One of them is probably for, well, I'm not even sure why I have 2, to be honest. But we need to increase these. So I'll select both of these. There we go. For some reason, this one needs to be set really high. Okay, so let's set them both to 40. Rewind. Now watch this one feather really close. Or you shouldn't have to watch too close. Okay, so now all we really need to do is we'll have to go and adjust our stiffness and stuff for our hair system so that these can react appropriately, because right now they're going to be too floppy. So I got that, click play, and just to show you, didn't like doing that. Okay, so this is what's happening here is now I have a double transformation. So those are actually pretty easy to deal with. But you can see how that feather's moving. That will be nice. Okay. So to get rid of the double transformation, and that's because of the deformer, the wire tool. So it looks like my feathers are actually upside down.